pop or drop for this week's episode of Raw. I'm Will. That's Brandon. We're the Cousins of Destruction. Let's do this. Cheers.
Cheers. What a great week of Raw. We'll obviously get into it, but compared to last week, this week, head and shoulders above last week.
It's like they brought out the All-Star team after putting out the JV squad last week. It was noticeably better this week. Good stuff. We start out with Miss Liv. She starts the show. It was previewed before the show that she was going to acknowledge or talk about her kiss with Dom last week.
Yeah.
She walks out. She says, "They say revenge isn't sweet, but to me it sure is." She took out Rhea. She took out everybody else. She put Becky into an early retirement, and the cherry on top with all of it was kissing Mr. Dom. Anyway, Dom has obviously reason to come out. He has to talk about it because, why did he like it?
Did he like it? Why'd you do that?
So he comes out and immediately the crowd boos this man for like a solid 3 minutes.
Yeah.
He could not put the mic to his hand without the entire crowd just literally drowning him out. It was almost like it kind of legitimately got on his nerves because he couldn't get a word out.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure that's got to be frustrating.
Yeah.
I mean, good Lord.
Anyway, basically all Dom said was when Rhea comes back, she's going to kill you for this. She starts to come on to Dom again, and things get pretty spicy with it.
Yeah.
I mean, she's all up in his grill.
Yeah.
And Dom's doing his best to not make any eye contact and, not show that he's into this at all.
Yeah.
And then Mr. Cuck himself, Finn Balor, runs out, gets in between them, and Finn Balor basically tells her to leave, and Liv says, what if Dom doesn't want me to leave? Where the whole crowd goes, ooh, and then she decides to leave and get out, but gives him one last look. This was phenomenal. Pop.
Yeah, I think it's got to be a pop. I think everybody was a little bit maybe hesitant or maybe cautious of what are they going to do? I mean, obviously you see the kiss last week on social media that nobody sees on TV. How do they follow it up? This I thought was a perfect way. You have Liv, who I thought played her part to perfection.
Yeah.
You've got Balor still running in and playing that Judgment Day, like, no, we're still here for mommy. And you've got Dom, who admittedly, like, he's like, oh, I don't like this, but I kind of like this. You see him smile a little bit. I think it's honestly helpful that the crowd kind of boos him out because it's short and sweet with him.
Yeah.
So it still leaves a little bit of like mystique to it, a little bit of like mysterious, like, okay, what does he really feel?
Right. Him staying silent, it adds to this whole thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It was phenomenal though. Liv is immediately playing this role phenomenally, and crowd was very into it as was I think everybody at home. It was just good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to be interesting to see kind of where they go because I guess just from a title perspective, like the storyline's obviously going to take over the title when we get down that road, but it's almost like you kind of don't really need the title on her right now.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see kind of how they play that part of it.
Yeah, I that is the sketchy situation here. It's like, oh, this is a great story, but it's one of those where the belt doesn't need to be involved at all. She's literally the only woman involved. Like Judgment Day doesn't have a woman. So there's no
right, and obviously people are going to say, "Well, she is Rhea," but obviously Rhea's hurt for months.
Right,
so it's like, when she comes back, you can do that. But it's going to be interesting to see how they play that title up in the meantime.
Yep. Anyway, we moved on. Sheamus was back there, ready to fight. He was dressed to his Scottish nines,
banger after
or
banger
Irish
shirt.
nines. Sorry, yeah, banger after banger shirt. And basically, what he said was, Ludwig and him are due to fight. This entire time he's thought Ludwig was just the guy who carried Gunther's coat, as he put it.
Yeah.
But he thinks that after last week and the balls basically that he showed Sheamus, that he may be wrong about Ludwig and he might have something to prove here. Anyway, that leads directly to a Sheamus versus Ludwig Kaiser match, and this slapped. I mean, literally slapped. They started the match with just a chop off. They were beating the hell out of each other's chest. Both their chests were bright red immediately. Sheamus's chest always red, but it was to the point where it was bleeding. It was absolutely a hard, they were working stiff. Ludwig would actually cut Sheamus's entrance short, would come out and spear his back of his right knee, which would be the storyline throughout the entire match.
Yep.
So Ludwig, his entire offensive game plan this match was to just target the knee, target the knee, target the knee. And throughout the match, Sheamus would go for big moves, couldn't do it. Even one time he went for the brogue kick, and as he would do like the little launch where he kind of pushes himself up to kick, his knee gave out on him. It got to the point where the ref even came over at one point and was like, Sheamus, do you want to keep going? Do you want to keep going? Where Sheamus then, of course, said, hell yeah, we're going to keep going. And he started to hulk up. Ludwig was over there smacking his face, giving him chops directly to the mouth, basically. And he was just hulking up. You know, what else are you going to do? Sheamus is going for a white noise off the top rope. His knee starts to hurt. He kind of gets wobbly. Ludwig's able to land on the mat. He would then kick Sheamus's knee off the rope, leading to him to fall. And off the fall, Ludwig would catch him, roll him up. 1, 2, 3, gets a roll up pin. This was a pop. Great match. Great everything.
Yeah, definitely a pop. Great way to kind of start the show off with action wise. I mean, obviously we had a great storyline segment to open it up, but to follow that up with a great match, Sheamus does admittedly deliver bangers. Yeah. As much as that's just a corny catchphrase, he gives bangers.
Dude, he is the banger maker. I mean, he is that good. The banger maker.
The banger maker. So it was nice to see Ludwig in singles action.
Yep.
I couldn't tell you the last time I saw him in singles action. So it was nice to see him kind of get familiar with his move set and his moves again, and just kind of the overall character. I thought he played the heel really well in this, just his facial expressions and the attack before targeting the knee. It's nice to see those kind of tidbits go throughout the match.
Yeah.
Like, it's nice to see, like, okay, like logically, I'm attacking his knee, I'm jumping him, because why would I give him the upper hand?
Well, and
why am I going to just keep going at it?
And at the beginning, we admittedly were like, oh, another knee injury, right? WWE's been doing that a lot lately with, like, Bianca had a knee injury. Like someone else had a knee injury. A lot of people have been selling injuries throughout matches. Like Ricochet is selling ribs. So it's a normal thing right now to be selling an injury. And we were like, but Ludwig attacked it in like a real way. Yeah. Like there was one point where he did a drop kick onto his knee against the steel steps. It's like, that feels realistic and feels like, okay, this is worthy of selling a big knee injury. So
yeah,
it didn't bother me.
It's nice to get that side of things. I know we've had it. You can say this person did it, this person did it. It's kind of repetitive, but I feel like with most of the time, those are just kind of like, I'll attack it here, maybe 3, 4, 5 minutes later, I'll attack it again. But he, like you said, he was so consistent and so persistent with, I'm going to keep going after this knee. So it was nice to see that. You give him a win, which much needed to kind of build him up. And then obviously you protect Sheamus because it's a roll up. So
continue it.
I'm down to, I was literally about to say, I'm down to keep running it back.
Run it.
Keep doing it.
Run it. And I'm glad there's no title involved. Just a good old fashioned rivalry of two guys who want to beat the shit out of each other.
It's nice to see kind of what in this Ball of Ek era, the matches don't necessarily need titles to mean things now. There are rivalries that the IC title, the the Intercontinental, the US title, like some of the main titles aren't really dominant. It's nice to see just like, well, I don't like you. Well, I don't like you. Well, let's fight about it. Like, it's nice to see that again.
I agree. Anyway, we would move on to Dragon Lee taking on Finn Balor with JD McDonough, and this would slap way more than we thought it would. Well, I mean, we didn't expect it not to be good, but this blew our expectations away. And we should have known because they started out with a Dragon Lee video package. And he was talking in Spanish, his own native language. It was one of those type of deals. And we were like,
just like the the Io Sky one from a few weeks back.
And we were like, man, they're gonna let this guy get some time here, huh? And they did. He was in his bag the entire time, man. I mean, he shined here. He reversed a clothesline from Finn Balor at one point where he would flip over the clotheslined arm and then he would powerbomb him from there. Absolutely insane. If you have time to go watch this match on YouTube or whatever they post that stuff, man, Dragon Lee showed out here. And he's gonna be a namestay for a while, I think.
Yeah, I think it's nice to see Dragon Lee. Obviously, if you've followed him before, you're like a hardcore wrestling fan. You know him outside of WWE. So some people are aware of him. Some people get to see him a little bit in NXT, but kind of for like the main roster call up, I felt like this was the first time we've gotten to see. At least the first time I remember in a long time. Okay, let's see this singles guy. Let's see what he has. And Rey Mysterio always says like, well, this is the next luchador. and you're always like, okay, like what does he really have? But you see it there.
Yeah,
I mean,
he shined.
He shines.
I mean, Finn Balor does his thing as always. He's great too, and he really made this guy look great. Anyway, JD Judgment Day effery ended up happening, right? So JD would distract, but Dragon Lee would be able to handle it. That was kind of the story here, is that Dragon Lee had this one even with the JD involvement. So JD would get involved, and Dragon Lee would end up doing a suicide diving spear that would just kill the man almost. And then Dragon Lee, crowd's going crazy, going, man, this guy's gonna do it. He's handled the involvement, he's handled the effery, he gets up on the top rope, but there's more effery. Carlito comes out, stops the finish. Finn takes advantage, coup de grace, 1, 2, 3. Finn Balor finally gets a win, so that's a good thing. But this whole thing was an absolute pop. Dragon Lee is great. Looking forward to seeing him more in matches. I mean, not much else to say. Great showing.
Right, yeah. Pop, you get, like you said, great showing for him. You get Finn a win, which is much needed because obviously he's looked really weak in terms of the Judgment Day side. So you get that, but it's also like, hey, Dragon Lee really fought hard, and it's not like he just lost one-on-one. So great job all the way around of promoting both guys up.
The effery wouldn't stop, though, because Braun Strowman and Rey Mysterio would come out. Rey Mysterio, because he's Dragon Lee's part of the LWO, so I guess it makes sense. I shouldn't have made that face.
And Braun hates JD.
Braun hates JD. So they come out, they kind of clear the ring. Braun goes to do his outside run around the ring, where he clotheslines everybody outside the ring. I don't know what he calls it, but they do something smart. They actually just hop they hop the barricade. They're like, nah, I'm not gonna let him do this. They hop the barricade. They dip. That leads to Damian Priest backstage saying, you know what? Good win, guys, but Carlito, go challenge Braun Strowman. Go talk to Adam Pearce. I want you to fight Braun Strowman tonight. If you're a part of the Judgment Day, you need to take care of this. So that was a little foreshadowing of the night ahead. Then Sami Zayn would come to the ring, and this stuff was great.
Yeah,
great.
Yeah,
he came out. He did his basic. Cheap pops where he was calling out the crowd, and he was saying how Gable is this isn't about the Intercontinental title. This is just about him blaming everybody for everything. Sammy would then invite Chad Gable alone to come out to the ring. And what happened? Everybody except for Chad Gable came out to the ring. Maxine, Tozawa, and Otis. Maxine had a letter.
Yes.
She had a letter from what she said was Master Gable. Master Gable had a letter for Sami Zayn. And it basically said that Sami Zayn does not deserve Chad Gable's time. He does not deserve to be in a ring with Chad Gable at the moment. He said that also you cannot turn my Alpha Academy against me. Without me, everybody in this ring would just be failures.
Yeah, and it was nice that it also singled out Tozawa being a ninja and Otis being a loser, losing his briefcase, and Maxine being a dumb Barbie or something.
He pointed out how every single one of them would have been failures in a very rude way. He was very rude, per usual. Master Gable was not a good mood for Master Gable. Anyway, Sami Zayn would just go on to be like, "Why do you guys deal with this stuff, man? Why you guys deal with this? Listen to the crowd, his normal Sami Zayn stuff." Then boom, Chad Gable from behind comes out, attacks, boom. And he gets a jump on Sammy. He holds Sammy up just like he did at Backlash, ready for Otis to strike, and Otis once again does not strike. He does not strike. So Chad Gable gets into his face, per usual, smacks him, and he goes to smack him again, but this time, boom, Tozawa. He breaks it up. He says, no more, Master Gable. Done with you hitting my big boy.
No, sir.
And so guess what Gable does? He goes after Tozawa.
Logical.
He starts to get in his face, and then Maxine pulls him away. Crazy. And as Chad Gable starts to get in Maxine's face, Otis has had enough. Otis gets right into Gable's face, and it looks like this is it. This is time. This is the time for Otis to strike. But Sami Zayn just got beat up, and he wants a piece of Gable as well. So he starts attacking Gable instead of Otis. Otis logically goes, you know what? I'm not going to break this up because I'm mad at Gable too. So we'll let them fight. Otis goes to get Maxine and Tozawa outside the ring. Yeah. Maxine and Tozawa are on the ring apron. Otis is looking at them on the ring apron. And Chad Gable throws Sami Zayn into the back of Otis, who then hits Maxine and Tozawa off the ring apron. They fall. They both injure their ankles, kayfabe-wise. But all Otis sees is Sami Zayn pushed him into Maxine and and Tozawa. So Otis is like, you know what? Maybe you are a piece of shit, Sami Zayn. And he goes and gives him a good old power bomb right into the middle of the ring. Great segment here. A lot of good stuff. I loved it. Pop.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to pop this as well. The one thing I thought, I'm going to work backwards, I guess. So when Otis goes to power slam Sammy, it's interesting because, well, you hurt my friends, I'm going to take you out, but I also know that you're fighting my master Gable, and I don't like him either. So it's not like a super hard power slam.
Yeah,
he kind of softly, just
regrettingly.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I have to do what I have to do. You hurt my friends.
Super, regrettingly is a great way to put it. The rundown from Maxine about each individual member, and honestly, even Sami Zayn coming out. I admittedly haven't been a big Sami Zayn fan. And to see him cut, and what I thought was a good promo for a face, probably one of the better ones I've seen since he fought Roman. I mean, it's been a few months since I've seen a good one.
Yeah, he's pulling his heart from down there like he was with Bloodline with
and
this.
that's where you get kind of the good Sammy. Yeah. And so it was nice to see that part of things. Overall, I thought this segment was really good. If you can't get behind this segment, I don't know what else more you're looking for, because it has different aspects of, okay, there's the title, and we said before, well, it's not really emphasis on the title, but like now the title's kind of involved. You still got the Otis Gable dynamic. Yeah. You've got, I mean, you feel bad for Tozawa and Maxine, even though they're Tozawa and Maxine. Like you still feel bad for him. And obviously, Sammy fights Otis next week.
Yeah.
So we're gonna keep this thing going, and I don't know what's gonna happen next week, but you can sign me up for it.
It might be my favorite storyline around a title right now. In all honesty, I mean, it's got the most depth by far. If it ends in a Chad Gable heel win championship, I'm all for it.
Yeah. There might be some sort of way where this doesn't really make any sense, so I guess forgive me for it. But like somehow maybe Otis helps Gable win the belt, but then Gable introduces the Creed brothers, and then they kick Otis out maybe. Then maybe they kick Otis out, and Otis is the next challenger at that point maybe.
Yeah, no, I think that's how it'll work. I think it'll work with like if Chad wins, he will officially need to move on for better. I'm a champion now. I need better, brighter days. So that's a conversation for another time though. The camera goes from the backstage segment, or no, from Chad Gable standing holding the championship belt. It pans back, and you see Adam Pearce watching a TV screen with Braun Breaker, who basically says, he makes a sly comment. He's like, that's your Intercontinental Champion. I could break him right now, man. He basically tells Adam Pearce, I'm about to destroy Ricochet, and it's because of you, because you didn't book me in the King of the Ring. I'm still mad about that. So that leads to our Ricochet versus Braun Breaker match, which was great, per usual. Ricochet came out, smacked him, and the beginning of the match was very much Braun. It was like Ricochet was covered in butter almost. Like he couldn't get Ricochet.
Yeah, he's too quick.
Yeah, he was too quick. But eventually he got him outside the ring. He did have this thing where he military pressed him, and he was standing on the steel steps, and he threw him on the barricade, which was pretty cool. But Ricochet got a bunch of momentum here, and he got a bunch of offense, and they definitely did not make Ricochet look weak here. It was no squash match, which was great. He's had a lot of good momentum. He's done a lot of good work. Let him get offense in. But it ends with Braun doing a Frankensteiner off the top rope. He ran up there and he saluted the crowd before he did it.
Yeah.
Frankensteiner directly, so they fall. Ricochet kind of sells the Frankensteiner because his ribs are hurt still.
Yep.
Gets up, turns, and Braun spears him. One of his weaker spears so far, but a good spear overall. This was good stuff. Braun Breaker and Ricochet all day long. Post-match, Braun tried to attack him. Ilya came out. It looks like we're going to get a triple threat of some sort here.
Yeah. Braun
Breaker, Ilya Dragunov, and Ricochet. Yeah. Ups. Give me more of these guys.
Yeah, it's got to be a pop as well.
Pops.
Everything. I love everything about this. Yeah. Braun looked really strong as you need him to. Like you said, Ricochet looked good too.
Yeah.
Ricochet got in some offense, even though Braun is the bigger guy, stronger guy, faster guy. Debatable, I guess. But, I mean, Braun looked great. I mean, you can see he's really kind of that next guy.
Yeah.
The spear was a little disappointed, admittedly. I was looking for maybe a Dolph Ziggler-esque sell job from Ricochet. Give me just leveled by a truck.
I think I think Braun lightened up. I think it was more Braun's fault.
Yeah. No, I think so. Yeah. Absolutely. When you watch it back, you can kind of tell. But the post-match, I don't. It's not that I don't like it because I really like Braun, I like Ricochet right now, I like Dragunov right now. The triple threat like friendship pairing thing, I guess I'm kind of like
Well,
maybe hesitant about.
they're like buddies, but they're still rivals.
Yeah.
Because before the match, they did a little thing where Ricochet was like, "We're gonna run this back," but after Braun
Yeah,
breaks
it's kind of like a mutual respect thing, I guess. Which is fine. I guess I'm just worried about them ending up making it a triple threat.
Yeah.
Because I kind of don't want to see that. I think Braun's good on his own, Ricochet's good on his own, and then maybe Ricochet can lose that and go on to Dragunov.
Yep.
But either way, I mean, even if it does turn into a triple threat, you sign me
That
up
match
for,
is gonna be incredible.
You signed me up for that match.
It's gonna be incredible.
I'm not gonna complain about that.
It's gonna be incredible. Three of, Ricochet is obviously he's a veteran at this point. I would say he's been on TV for a while, but 3 guys who can just tear the roof out.
Yeah.
Rey Mysterio had a quick backstage segment with Dragon Lee and Zelina. He basically said, "Dragon Lee, you're awesome. Carlito is the reason you lost that match. Just let it go. I'm gonna beat Damian tonight. We'll continue on."
Yep.
Then we got Natalya versus Kiana James, her Raw debut. This was a Natalya match.
Mhm.
Definitely, it felt like a glorified PC Center. Like these are your spots.
Yeah.
By the book.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go. I mean, Kiana gets a win. Her finisher is called the 401k. They're doing this whole she's a businesswoman thing. I like the character. I think she did well tonight. I'm gonna give it a pop just because it was quick. She got the win. She looked good. Decent debut. Give her the pop.
Yeah, I can understand why you do that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it a drop personally. I like the idea of pushing new talent. I think Kiana could be something. This is the first time I've really admittedly kind of seen her. I like the character as well. I just wonder if maybe they pushed her a little bit too soon. I think
I don't know. This is the beginning of. They're not pushing her.
Well, no, they're
She
not
fought
pushing her,
Natalya.
but that's what I'm saying. Like you push her to go on TV too soon.
Oh,
Like you pushed her through like the development NXT, and you're like, okay, you're ready for main roster. And like you said, it was kind of like a spot. Like, okay, you go here, you go here, you go here.
Yeah.
And I feel like she maybe needs a little bit more time. I get why they gave it to Natalya because she's a good trainer.
Yeah,
but,
she won't mess up.
Right.
Yeah,
She's not gonna mess up. She's not gonna injure. She can lead the match.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see kind of where Kiana goes afterwards. Obviously, Natalya drops her Owen Hart Uncle Owen line.
Yeah.
And I don't really know what that means, but I also am not really intrigued by that.
I don't care about the Sonya Deville stuff at the moment, honestly.
Yeah.
Anyway, we move on. Backstage, New Day. They cut a quick promo basically saying that they're still the best to ever do this type deal.
Yes.
Karrion Kross shows up and looks Xavier Woods in the eye and says, after tonight, you're not going to have to deal with him anymore. So, foreshadowing. Then we got our Braun Strowman versus Carlito match, which was a Braun Strowman versus Carlito match. How do you think that's going to go? That's how it went. Carlito got like a couple moves in. Braun got a couple power slams in, big moves. Then the effery happened. Judgment Day, all of them spill out. But this time, Dominic Mysterio comes out and actually tries to take out Braun's leg. And then when he hits Braun in the leg, he goes, okay, I'm going to capitalize on this. He rolls out, he gets a chair, comes in the ring to hit Braun with a chair, and Braun does the old Big Show maneuver and punches the chair out of his hand. And Dominic runs out of the ring, falls, does a thing where he's crawling backward. Braun's coming, and guess who shows up? Liv saves Dom. She says, "You get back, you big Braun Strowman." That's basically what she says.
Yeah.
You get back. You don't touch my Dom.
Yeah.
And what happens is Judgment Day takes over. They beat the hell out of Braun Strowman with a chair. I mean, they really demolished him. But they cuts back to Liv and Dom now officially kind of acknowledged the fact that, hey, I would have gotten my ass kicked if it wasn't for you. And he this time he's looking her right in the eye and he's kind of checking her out, giving her the up and down.
Mm-hmm.
And they get real close together, and she's backing him up toward the ring, and they're coming together. And then that cuck Finn Balor comes back out, and he goes, no. What are you guys doing? I'm gonna give both here. I'm gonna give a drop to the match because, come on, man. There was nothing here in terms of a match.
Right.
I'm dropping the match, but the post-match shenanigans with the Liv and Dom stuff, man, so good. It's so good. Pop.
Yeah, exactly. I agree 100%. I'm dropping the match, but I'm popping the Liv Dom, even Finn Balor, kind of holding the peace type thing. I guess the match was a means to get to the end. Like, obviously, we know we want to get the Liv and Dom thing going, so we're going to just have this match. Again, I find myself in terms of Braun Strowman, I've been on this train for weeks. Like, I don't really enjoy seeing him. It's just kind of like, yeah, big guy, big SOB.
He's officially just big SOB again.
Big SOB again.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what.
One big son of a bitch.
That's kind of, it's great when McAfee says it. Don't get me wrong. When Pat McAfee goes on and starts saying it, I laugh. But in terms of his character, it's just like, again, we ran it back again for the 10th time, and I'm just over it already again.
Yeah. Justice for Braun, I guess, in some way. I don't know. Anyway, we moved on to our women's tag team champions, Jade and Bianca. They come out because they got invited here by Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler.
That's what I would do if I got invited by them.
They were invited. It'd be rude of them not to show up.
Yes.
And when they come out and they say that they were invited, Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler, they come out. And basically they start trash talking. Baszler and them say, we're the good team. And then they say, no, we're the good team. And then they go, Jade does the thing where she goes, why even wait? Let's just do it now. And this is actually something I liked. Adam Pearce coming out and being like, wait. You're the champions. You serious? You want to put your title up right now?
Yeah.
Oh, you do? Okay. I won't tell you no.
Yeah.
I actually kind of liked that logic working there.
It makes sense. It just makes sense. He's the manager.
Yeah.
Most times you say oh, you want to see a match? We're going to have a match now. And then nothing happens.
He was a manager being a manager. And he was giving the people what they want. I was like, that's good to see.
And it doesn't have to be a long, drawn out 5-minute thing.
No.
He came out for a quick minute. It was like, okay, you, all right, let's go.
He's like, just making sure everybody consents to this. Okay, let's have a match. This match was a Jade and Bianca showcase, basically, with a little bit of Shayna Baszler magic in there.
And Zoe Stark top rope springboard dropkick.
Yes, that was nice. That was very nice. But most of the time, it was Jade and Bianca getting their big moves in. They did this thing where they both had them in a vertical suplex for 60 seconds. They just stood there, and then they both dropped them. I mean, have you seen them? They're strong and they're amazing. Okay, they're very good at this. I want to point this out. Very quick side note. There was a 5-minute period during this match where there was no camera cuts. There was a low camera. It was almost like the camera was on the side, on the ring apron, looking up at the superstars, and it would just pan back and forth. They go from one side of the ring to the other. Brilliant. Keep doing that. But the match would end in a weird way. Randomly out of nowhere, Alba Fire and what's her name, Isla Dawn. Out of nowhere, they just attacked the champs.
Yes.
Disqualification. And then all 6 of them started beating each other up. And then it ended up with Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark and Alba Fire and Isla Dawn beating up the champions. Leaving us with, do we get a 3-way tag team match here? I don't really know. I'm going to go ahead and drop it just because the ending made no sense to me out of nowhere. I love Jade and Bianca, but I don't really need these big showcases right now with them. I already am sold. So let's build some story.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I'm going to drop it as well. I think that, as I just said with Braun Strowman, it's not that I don't like Jade and Bianca. I do like them. I think they have a sort of confidence that Braun doesn't have.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why I'm drawn more to them. But they're also just big, strong women. And that's kind of their thing right now. I would like to see more of a character emphasis. Now, in terms of the Zoe Stark, Shayna Baszler, and Alba Fire, Isla Dawn thing, I assume it's not going to be a triple threat tag match. I assume Baszler and Zoe fight Isla Dawn and Alba Fire next week.
And they'll win because it's in Scotland.
Yeah. And then they'll go challenge Bianca and Jade at Clash.
Could be good. I'm not against the ending. I just think I'm not against the idea. It's just it was very random here.
It was random, and you had bits and pieces of those two teams kind of backstage for the last couple of weeks. But I will say Alba Fire and Isla Dawn, former NXT women's tag champs.
Yeah.
They're good in the ring.
No, it's not. Yeah.
You hear nothing from them.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, well, we mentioned it before. Oh, we want a shot. Well,
just attack.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's that logic of, if you want a title shot in wrestling, why don't you just go attack everybody? Right. Because you end up getting a title shot. So that's just the laziest form of wrestling storytelling to me. Anyway, we go backstage. Damian has by himself And he goes, you know what? Tonight's been a good day for the Judgment Day. 2 wins. Looking pretty good. Drew McIntyre then steps in. And he says, enjoy this time right now because you'll never get it again. You brought up my wife last week, so it just got personal. Yep. That was literally it. They walk away. Yep. Then we get a weird part of the night. Just going to touch on it. Jey Uso comes out. Haven't seen him. He wasn't there last week. Yeah. He comes out through the crowd. He's doing the yeet lights.
Cool camera cut.
No, it looks great per always. The crowd's into it. Yeah. And then he just kind of starts rambling with nowhere to go. He was mentioning some of the crowd, saying that this little Uso over here is yeeting with me. Yeah. He goes, thank you all for yeeting with me over the past year. And then he randomly cuts into Money in the Bank from last year. He's like, last year's Money in the Bank, we had the Bloodline, Civil War. It was tough. And this year, I have a plan. I'm going to win the Money in the Bank. So we now know Jey Uso's calling. Man, this guy is stuck in limbo right now.
He's stuck in limbo, and he also didn't do himself any favors.
Yeah.
I mean, I get you had a main point. You want to come out and acknowledge your fans. You want to thank him. You want to say, okay, because of this, I'm going to the Money in the Bank. I'm going to win this thing. You could tell he forgot his promo. You could tell he forgot where he was going. And even at the end, he kind of was like, and then he just drops the mic. Yeah. And that's it. And that's the end of the promo.
Yeah.
So for anybody that was looking for more character development, as we have for Jey, this was a chance to kind of show a little something, even if it was just a classic babyface promo.
Yeah.
And he kind of fumbled it.
It just screams that he's great when there's a great right there who's also being great.
Right.
Again, I'm not a Jey Uso hater. I'm not even against him winning Money in the Bank. It would sound Money in the Bank Jey Uso sounds a lot better than main event Jey Uso because he's never on the main event.
You gotta give him something.
Yeah.
So he might win Money in the Bank.
You know what? I'm down. Give him Money in the Bank. Anyway, we move on. To New Day versus AOP.
New Day.
And this sucked. It was probably the only point.
It's New Day Rocks is the chant.
Yeah. This was nothing. So New Day comes out versus AOP, and we've been getting the whole Karrion Kross once Xavier Woods thing. And basically what happened was AOP did all they could so that Xavier Woods could never tag in Kofi Kingston. So they beat him up all night.
It could have been Kofi. It doesn't matter who it is. Yeah.
Right before Xavier Woods gets enough momentum to get a hot tag off, Karrion Kross is on the outside and he distracts Kofi. So Kofi's no longer on the apron. Xavier Woods goes for the tag. He's not there. AOP does the what's their wonderful move called? What a Rush. Right.
Shout
1, 2,
out
3.
Warriors.
1, 2, 3. I'm gonna get and so what this is setting up. Xavier Woods didn't see the altercation, right? So he's just like, why weren't you there? Setting the seeds for maybe a New Day split, which I don't really like that anyways either. So I'm just gonna drop kind of the whole thing as a whole. We'll see where it goes, but to me, I'm not interested in the moment.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop all of it altogether. I think the storyline is kind of already fatigued on me.
Yeah,
Karrion Kross doesn't have that kind of mystique that he once had in NXT. I know Scarlett there was helping him for a while. She's kind of just randomly there. Paul Ellering's also randomly there with AOP. AOP in the ring's not good enough to overcome how bad their character is because they have no character.
Yeah.
To have them kind of fight with New Day, it's like, well, you couldn't have picked anybody else to fight with New Day.
Yeah.
In terms of the New Day, I know in the past everybody's kind of wanted a Kofi, Biggie, Xavier split just to see how that would work. At this point in their career, I'm not interested in that.
Yeah, me neither.
I'm interested in just the tag team.
They're past it. Kofi Mania felt like a New Day split where they were still there, but he was completely on his own at the same time. Like he was doing his own. So that felt like enough of a departure from the norm to me. Yeah. At this point, I don't need them to they're in the latter part of their careers. I don't need this. I don't need it.
And you can kind of tell they're planting the seeds as best they can because they mentioned Woods has never had a solo title, things like that. It's like they're trying, and I give them effort for trying.
Yeah, it's just not
resonating. No. It just doesn't make sense after 10 years why he would just randomly be like, you know what? Yeah, I don't like this guy.
Xavier Woods is great, but New Day rocks for a reason. So keep him New Day. Then our main event: Rey Mysterio versus the champion Damian Priest. And let me just start by saying I'm going to pop it without saying a word about the match, just simply because the champion is fighting in a non-title match just because he has beef with somebody on a Monday Night Raw. The champ is settling his score on Raw. Thank you. When's the last time that's happened?
Been a long time.
Yeah.
It's been a really long time. It's nice to see a champ kind of be a fighting champion.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you get some mid card, like Gunther was that guy,
Yeah.
but main event titles, I couldn't tell you the last time.
Yeah.
So it's you get those guys at pay per views and you get them at pay per views.
Yeah.
That's all their PLEs, whatever you want to call them.
The modern day WWE is WWE champion, world heavyweight champion, only fights once a month at PLE.
Yeah.
And this was great to see.
Yeah, and it's nice because not only does it progress the storyline for each of them, builds Damian up as we'll get to, and it gives them both time. I mean, you need reps in the ring, so why not?
Yeah, no one will give you better reps than Ray. So what happened in this match was Damian came out right away with a high boot that caught Ray kind of awkwardly, and it was looked stiff, which I like, but I don't think he ate it a little bit. Anyway, this match whittled down to like, how is Ray gonna survive? So Ray would try to do something. Damian would always have an answer, put him right back on his ass. It was one of those things, kind of a David versus Goliath type deal, without him succeeding. Sorry, but eventually, what would happen? The effery would happen.
Yeah.
So I guess we can get into the match a little
Classic
bit.
Judgment Day, I guess, right?
It was a pretty slow paced match considering. They did have a moment of ooh when Damian Priest was going to go for a razor's edge off the top rope, which it looked like for a minute Ray was going to let him do it. And I was like, damn, Ray, you're going to die. But he would actually reverse it, ended up in like a Hurricane Rana of some sort to get Damian onto the mat, which he would then boot him into the ropes. He hit the 619 full thing. 1-2, ooh, from the crowd.
Yeah.
And it really, I mean, that was a good moment. Obviously, he wasn't going to win, but it was like a moment of like, oh.
Yeah, and it's nice to, I don't mean to interrupt, but it's nice to see your champion. Like, I'm going to take your finisher, but because I'm the champion and I'm better than you, like, screw your finisher, you know?
Yeah.
It's nice to see that.
Oh, yeah. But then the effery happens. You have JD come out first, along with Carlito. And then Dragon Lee would come out. Dragon Lee would come out and do his work, and he immediately did like a springboard off the barricade, like a moonsault off the barricade to take out Carlito. But Rey Mysterio would make a tragic error here. He would focus on JD and Carlito instead of Damian Priest. He did do a springboard and hit them all, but then
he hit that corkscrew.
Yeah, he hit the corkscrew, but then he came back up to the top turnbuckle to do something.
Yeah, it looked like he was going to go after Damian, maybe like a moonsault on Damian or something.
But there was enough distraction there for Damian got back on his feet, got him by the neck, and he would give him the South of Heaven off the top rope, which is his glorified choke slam. 1, 2, 3. Damian wins, but the interesting stuff happens after the match. Drew McIntyre comes out, attacks Damian.
Yep.
Hits him with a what's his little DDT called? Future Shock.
Mm-hmm.
Future Shock DDT. He would then get up and take out all of Judgment Day. So, well, not Dom, but JD and Carlito would both run in. He cleared the ring. Then he counted the Claymore. 1, 2, 3. Hit the Claymore on Drew McIntyre. But he wasn't done yet either. Rolled out to the outside of the ring. Cleared off the announce table. But then Michael Cole said something. He called him a hypocrite or something. And it was just enough time for Drew McIntyre to hear and turn and call Michael Cole out. And in that moment, Damian Priest comes over and does a South of Heaven to Drew McIntyre through the table. Raw ends with Drew McIntyre and the Judgment Day winning 3 matches. Yeah, sorry. Damian Priest and Judgment Day winning
a lot of D names.
Yeah, winning 3 matches on the night. Great night for Judgment Day. I thought the match was great. I thought the post match up was great to build the feud. Damian Priest is a fighting champion, and I think that he's been a very solid transitional champ.
Yeah, I can't say much more. I'm going to give the match a pop. I'm going to give the stuff after the match a pop. It's nice to see Damian fight, as we kind of alluded to already. The stuff with Drew has been nice. I guess I'm a little bit hesitant on the Drew-Damian rivalry itself. Anytime Drew's around, anytime Drew's on camera, he gets in the ring, the crowd wants CM Punk. Punk is more over than Drew is right now.
That's true.
It makes me a little bit hesitant because if Drew does beat Damian, I guess Punk just kind of comes back and challenges him. We can maybe get to that later, but you call Damian a transitional champion.
Yeah.
As much as I agree that he's a transitional champion, he's not going to main event some of your headlined pay-per-view shows. I'm finding myself really liking Damian Priest.
Oh yeah, he's great.
I don't really want him to lose that belt.
I get he's a little bit stiff on the mic at times, but whenever he's come face to face with Drew, or that one segment where there was Drew and CM Punk, like he goes toe to toe with them. It's not, when they first gave him the belt, we were all kind of like, we liked the decision because it was like, oh, at WrestleMania, and how they did it was kind of fun, but it was like, no, Damian Priest is champ though.
Yep.
He's exceeded expectations to me in every right. If they do end up dropping it to Drew at Clash, is what it is. Drew's great, but don't take I won't take this for granted. Damian Priest was a great champ, and he's given us great stuff, and he's fighting on Raw. Just all to you, Damian.
Yeah, and it just makes sense for Drew to get the belt.
Yeah.
Punk comes back, Punk takes the belt off Drew. Like all that makes sense. I understand that and all that stuff. And Damian losing, he can go back with Judgment Day, and it goes that whole storyline. I get it, but I find myself being like, well, damn.
Yeah.
I really enjoy Damian on his own. And they show kind of Damian, they hint at it a little bit where Damian's old solo entrance with like the fire in the beginning and the arrow in the beginning kind of started making its way more in the Judgment Day entrance for himself. Yeah. So it's been really nice to see him come into his own. I guess we'll see what happens if he does end up losing the belt. But yeah, it's been a great run for him.
Yeah, we'll get into our Clash of the Castle predictions this weekend. But overall, great Raw, pop overall, like just really fun 3 hours tonight. And action-packed, good 3 hours. Follow us on all of our social medias at COD WrestlePod, COD WrestlePod. Listen to us wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Will, that's Brandon with the Cousins Destruction. We'll see you next time.